We hot? All right. I'm going to call the meeting of the Board of Adjustment to order. Would you call the roll and let's record who's here.
Chairman Tamaez.
I'm here.
Board Member Beaver.
Here.
Board Member Hilliard is absent. Board Member Rowe. Here. Board Member Sorrell.
Here.
Alternate Board Member Lucas.
Here.
And alternate Board Member Jones absent.
For the time being, we have high hope you'll show up. Let's look at the minutes from the meeting on February 6th, having not had a March meeting or one in April.
February.
Yep. Are there any comments, concerns, notes about those minutes? And if not, I'd entertain a motion.
Move we approve it.
All right. We've got Mr. Beaver moving to approve and Mr.
second.
Go ahead. You can second.
Oh, I didn't.
Mr. Lucas had double approved, so I was going to give him the second.
Oh, okay, okay. That's fine. That's fine.
All right. All right. Let's take a vote. All those in favor of the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right. Minutes are approved. Next thing we're going to do is swear in everybody at one time. So we only do it once and we don't have to go back to it. So anybody that wants to speak for, against, make any comment whatsoever, any kind of a statement on the record, please stand, raise your right hand. Let's get everybody sworn in.
Okay. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
All right. So what we're going to do then is we're going to call the first agenda item, which is file PZ 2025-104. It's a request for a variance on the minimum side yard setback requirements at 2530 North 11th Street, asking to change the side from 5 feet to 4 feet at the south property line. Okay. Could we have the staff report, please, ma'am?
Eduardo Rodriguez is seeking a variance to reduce the minimum side yard setback requirement for the southern property line at the property located at 2530 North 11th Street. The variance comes as a request for the proposed addition at the rear of the building for an accessory building. They're hoping to align the building with the existing structure, reducing the setback from 5 feet to 4 feet. Staff did send 16 property owner notices. We received 0 in favor and 0 in opposition. On the screen is the subject property. Shown here is the existing building. The red outline would be the addition of the accessory building. Again, showing that 4-foot setback. The existing building is also at 4 feet. This is the subject property. And just a closer view of the subject property where you can see how close it is to that right side fence. And we do have, I believe, the applicant and other representatives present.
Isn't the accessory building going to be on the?
It'll be in the rear, yes, sir.
Do you have a picture of that showing?
No, sir. I just have the site plan.
Okay. And it looks to me like the blow up from the site plan is rotated 90
It's turned to be the correct orientation. So looking at the subject property here, you see the church is on that bottom line.
Right.
So we just put the site plan the same way to match.
All right. And the objective is to?
Put the new accessory building at the same, in line with the church at the backside so they don't lose any.
Still attached in the same way as this existing slab or separate and
It'll be
apart?
separate. It will not be attached to the building.
Okay. By what gap or what, out from the building, so?
I do not have.
I think those are questions for the applicant.
It seems that is the building that's there is attached or uses a common wall or very close?
They're probably very close. I believe the applicant can speak more to it. But but from our understanding, it'll be a detached accessory building. They're just wanting to align it with the existing building.
Okay. All right. Detached, not attached. Okay, thank you. Any other questions, this witness? All right. Who wants to speak in favor of this item that we're hearing? Come on up and tell us your name, your address, your relationship to the property, and then tell us whatever you want to.
Good afternoon. So my name is Ruth Sanchez. I am assistant. I work in the church as an assistant. The pastor is here today, but he does not speak fluent English, so I will be kind of taking charge of speaking with you guys. So our property is 2530 North 11th Street, zip code 77703. And our goal is, she claimed, we are wanting to have that alignment throughout the entire building since our property is pretty tight on parking and we are outgrowing our church membership, so we require as much space as possible to kind of maneuver around through that side lot that we have. So we are just asking for a variance instead of going the 5 required feet to just push it back to 4 and be able to line up with the building.
Okay. And this building that you're going to build, I presume it says 16 by 40.
Yes.
16 wide, the same 40 as the church.
Correct. Yeah. So
And how far away from the church are y'all putting it?
So it would sit basically facing parallel to the church at, so the slab will be 40 by 40 if I'm not wrong, and it would be the distance between, it would be around maybe 24. So it would be the difference between the 40 and the 16.
Oh,
It
you're
would
going to
sit
put
in
it
the
out the
far
end of
end.
the slab?
Correct. We're just creating that slab so there is no mud accumulation since it's going to be a lot of equipment and important stuff from our church, like musical instruments and stuff for the kids that we want to make sure there's no damage or anything. So we want to just create that cement pathway throughout the surrounding area.
So when you're putting this, if we look at this,
Yes.
if you're putting a 16-foot strip out here, and that's your building, right? Your new
Correct.
building?
Correct.
Are you going to put a canopy or something across?
That 40 by 40 will be a cement foundation.
I know. Are you going to put some kind of a roof between the building and the accessory building?
No, sir. We're just wanting to have more of a pavement way, not really covering on top.
Okay. And are you doing this in anticipation that you might also expand the building, the existing building, push it back that way toward the accessory building?
That is not the goal. I mean, currently we're using the space that we have. We've been able to arrange it certain ways to where we can have the kids be in their classrooms and then the adults be in the temple. But our goal is not to extend further. We're just wanting to have an accessory building there. And ultimately, we might want to add an additional accessory building, but there's no extension of the current building sitting on site that we're looking to do.
Is the accessory building going to be an occupied building or just a storage building?
It would just be storage.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions? I've exhausted things. All right. Anybody else want to speak for, against, or otherwise make a comment on our first item that's being heard right now? And if you'll step back, we'll consider this and have a little deliberation and take a vote.
Thank you.
Okay. Commentary?
I think with the existing building being at 4 feet.
It looks, you know, it's a clean deal.
It's clean. I think so.
Okay. Y'all get back on the record, somebody make a motion?
I make a motion, we approve file PZ 2025-104, reducing the 5-foot setback to 4 foot on that south line.
Second motion.
Mr. Lucas seconds. Would you call the roll for a vote, please, ma'am?
Chairman Tamaez,
I'm for it.
Board Member Beaver,
For it? No, sure, sorry.
Board Member Rowe,
Or
Board Member Sorrell,
Or it.
and alternate Board Member Lucas.
For it.
Thank you.
So 5-0, you won it. You got a 10-day waiting period. Talk to the staff afterward and get that cleared up. Okay, at this point, we're a little stuck. But we may or may not be stuck, depending on point of view. Mr. Rowe is going to abstain from voting on the next item, which is the request by the Baptist Hospital System.
That's the third item.
That's the third one. We got a second one.
No, the second one got dropped off the agenda.
The sidewalk.
The sidewalk's gone. So now we're at PZ 2025-119, which is a three-part request. And here's the situation. We think Mr. Jones is coming. I'm going to recess and ask our administrator to give him a call and see how far out he is. And the only reason I do that is because you need 4 affirmative votes and you only have 4 voting members up here. And it's a better thing to have 5. So let's see where Mr. Jones is. And we'll take a recess right now for a moment. Yeah.
Welcome, welcome. Thanks for the welcome.
Let's resume and get back on the record here. And we will pick up and start our consideration of file PZ 2025-119, which is a request from Baptist Hospitals of Southeast Texas for 3 variances for property located at 3250 Fannin. There's a front yard setback from 20 feet to 5 feet on the south side. There's reduction or basically elimination and substitution of perimeter and off-street parking landscaping somewhat, and then the peninsula requirement, request for eliminating the peninsula requirement within the parking lots. So let's hear the entire staff report on all of that, please, and see where things go.
Good afternoon. Baptist Hospitals of Southeast Texas is requesting 3 variances for the property located at 3250 Fannin Street. The property is zoned GCMD, which is General Commercial Multiple Family Dwelling, and the zoning ordinance requires a 20-foot front setback, perimeter landscaping along parking areas facing public right-of-ways, and permanently landscaped islands, peninsulas, or medians within parking areas with more than 20 spaces. The requested variances are as follows. Front setback. The applicant seeks to reduce the front setback along Fannin Street from 20 feet to 5 feet to accommodate a proposed expansion. To align with the intent of the landscaping ordinance, landscaping will be installed along the front property line abutting Fannin Street to screen the parking areas and enhance property appearance. So pausing here, if you look at your screens, this black outline here is actually the proposed addition to the structure. There will remain parking underneath. It will be open aired to where parking will exist below the structure. They're asking again to extend the building out to the front towards Fannin.
To where those posts
Yes, sir.
are, okay, all right.
Okay, next, perimeter landscaping and edge reduction on the north side of the property. With the planned expansion to the south enables the removing of the existing buildings to the north of the property. Additional parking areas for employees and supply deliveries will be created. The applicant requests to reduce the required 6-foot landscaping edge along the northern property line abutting Brenham Street and the 10-foot perimeter buffer between the commercial and residential zoning district to the north side of the site. They intend to replace the existing fence provide an opaque screen shielding the parking area from public view and maintain a buffer with the nearby residential properties along Brenham Street. I have slides of this later in the presentation. Right here are a couple of existing buildings on site today, and they have a 6-foot wood privacy fence with an opening and closing locking gate. They're asking with the expansion here, these buildings will be eliminated and they create additional parking for employees and supply deliveries. And in lieu of installing what would be a required 6-foot landscaped edge along this side and a 10-foot landscape buffer along this side, they're asking to allow just the 8-foot fence for the screening, which is essentially already there and existing, but the parking lot would create the requirement of landscaping.
Are those balloons or whatever those are at the top of the drawing, are those existing bushes and trees?
It's
or
a
what is it?
ditch. It's a
That's a
swell.
ditch? Okay, all right.
And again, I'll have a slide of that side
I
in just a
can't.
moment.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And lastly, the north and northwest parking lot areas. The building existing along the north property lines will be removed, the area we just spoke about, with creating approximately 78 parking spaces. The northwest parking area here currently has 57 parking spaces, and our proposed reconfiguration will create 69 parking spaces. The ordinance requires 1 landscaped peninsula per 10 parking spaces for parking areas containing more than 100 spaces. The applicant requests to reduce the minimum off-street landscaping requirements for the north and northwest parking lot from 14 peninsulas to 0. Reducing the number of peninsulas will allow the separation of staff and visitor parking areas while maximizing the available staff parking. And I'd like to reiterate that both the northwest parking lot over here actually does not face any public right-of-way. And then again, the north parking lot here would be potentially screened by the fence, should the board so allow.
Okay, and so the entrance to both is going to be through that gate.
So for the employee entrance will mostly be accessed through Brenham. We do have applicants here who can speak more, but based on the conversations in the pre-development meeting, that's where the employees currently enter.
Okay,
We did send 35 property owner notices. We received 0 in favor and 0 in opposition. Again, on the screen is a preliminary site plan. And just one last time, proposed front setback reduction to allow for an expansion. Because of this expansion, existing buildings here will be removed. We are requesting to remove the landscaping requirement along Brenham and the residential property here. Instead, we would be installing an 8-foot privacy or opaque fence. And then for the northwest parking lot here, we are just simply asking to remove the requirement of islands, peninsulas, or medians within the parking area. Along the next slide, again, highlights the proposed addition, the north parking lot and northwest parking lot. This is the existing site. The expansion will essentially come to where you kind of see that white SUV parked at that last space there. This is west of the property. You can see the other buildings already kind of come as far out. East. And then this is the existing fenced area along Brenham. They will maintain that existing entry there. So again, this is already all kind of in place. Just the removal of the buildings within this area will allow for additional parking, but they would improve their screening with a fence if so granted granted a variance.
okay. Thank you. Questions?
The green that is shown around the perimeter, is that intended to still remain a grassed area?
Yes, the green space will remain and or be installed if it is not there. Additionally, the engineers have asked that I provide this rendering packet. These are conceptual renderings, something to keep in mind. However, it'll kind of give you a better idea of what the elevations of the property could look like with this proposed expansion.
Okay. Also, the large trees that are out front right now, are those intended to be to remain in that green space, kind of showing right there adjacent to the proposed building, or will those be removed?
From my understanding, they would stay, but I would say the applicants can definitely speak more to that when they come to the mic.
Any other questions?
If you don't, excuse me, and pardon my tardiness, if you don't mind, please going back to the actual site photo, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, the photo.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Do we have someone that wants to speak on the applicant's behalf?
Y'all's turn.
It's your turn. You bear the burden of proof, and we're looking for somebody from your group to come talk to us about this. So tell us who you are, what your relationship is to the property, where you live, and then tell us whatever you want to.
Yeah, I'm Ronnie
One at a
Jones.
time, please.
Thank you. I'm Ronnie Jones, architect on the project. My office is 350 Pine Street, Edison Plaza, right down the street. And I have with me Mr. Zach Rowe.
Zach Rowe with Levins Engineering and Design, the civil engineering consultant. Address is 3250 East Texas Freeway.
Okay, all right. So tell us what you want to about this property, please.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we're asking for reducing the setback along Fannin Street from 20 feet to 5 feet. And this is the same variance that we received with the Earhart School in 2015, I believe. So it puts it right in line with what Earhart was granted. And it lines up with their building down there. So we're just asking to, we're not sure how far out we need, but we'd like to have the right to be able to build up to that point. And we're still in early design phase, so the building's not set in stone. This is all conceptual, but we just know that parking is a premium here and we need a lot of space there for a building. So we do have a landscape architect that's on board. So once we get through, it's gonna be beautiful. There'll be landscape and everything. I can assure you it's gonna be a nice facility.
And you're talking about 5 feet from the right of way,
5 feet from the property line.
from the property line,
Yep,
which
right now
is
it's
right
20.
there at the right
Yep.
of way. It's not at the right.
No, the property line is actually set back from the right-of-way. If you see the,
Setback from the back of curb of the pavement, but
correct,
Well,
yeah.
the right of way.
Yeah, the right of way may be wider than the pavement. So that was going to be my next question back to you is, do you know how much of the right of way is paved?
I do not. I can confer with our traffic engineers after this meeting, but I did not receive any comment from them
Well,
of
it's not
concern.
5 feet from the street, is what is the point. It's 5 feet from the, yeah. Yeah,
The variance request is to be 5 foot from the right-of-way line,
well, yeah.
the property line, the right-of-way line. Yeah.
Property
Okay.
line,
And so-
property line.
Uh,
For the record, property line.
Front property line.
There you go. Thank you.
all right.
You had a picture that showed the power poles out along the street. Go back. So those power poles are probably just inside of the street right away. If to give you an indication of where the
Yeah.
property line.
They try to put them at the edge.
Yeah, more than likely, the property line is the connection here over the asphalt.
Correct.
Yeah, just for, yeah. So, I mean, it'll be 5 feet that way.
Okay. Let's go ahead and hear about all of this from you guys. And we'll make a decision down the road whether we want to talk about these one at a time among ourselves or talk about them all three at once. But let's hear everything you have to say.
Yeah, so it's three, we kind of talked about the first one, the second one being the west lot. We're trying to maximize parking there. Obviously, you can see it's quite a tight space. So we feel like we can increase their parking substantially by eliminating some of the islands in that west parking lot and the north, being that they're all hidden by buildings. Nobody will see it from Fannin Street, so.
The north parking lot and the northwest, that's all staff and employees?
Correct.
And it's all access through that one entrance, right?
It is.
Okay.
Right now, there are 4 entrances off of Fannin.
Well, I'm talking about from the north.
From the
It
north,
looks like the north does not communicate with the south.
No, that you can loop through,
You can?
yes.
So you're going to set it so where you can run under this building and keep going?
No, to the left of the building, you'll see the road, and that will be maintained.
Ah, okay.
And that goes all the way to the back. You can go through the north parking lot and out Brenham Street.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And then the north parking lot, we're just asking to maintain the fence that we have there. We'll obviously replace it, but just to maximize the parking back there, minimize the islands.
Still 6-foot fence or something?
Yes, sir.
All right.
There's two buildings on the north side. There's a building on northwest, which is a laundry building. We're tearing that down. And then there's a building on the right, northeast, and we're tearing that down also. And that'll expand the north parking, which will accommodate all of the staff.
Okay.
Anything I missed, Mr. Zach?
If you could go back to the site plan to answer the questions about the landscaping. The dark green areas around the perimeter of the site are existing, call it landscape areas. It's mostly grass, lawn area. The lighter green areas would be improved landscaping, likely to be improved beyond what is the minimum code requirement in these areas to create a pleasing area for patients and visitors. And to answer the question about the trees, I believe because we're going to have to adjust the parking lots, those trees will likely be coming out.
We're taking some of the entrances off, fanning away, right? So we'll be creating some more green space there.
Go back to that other plan.
So in the pre-development meeting, staff requested that we consolidate as many driveways as possible from this project. So we'll likely lose 1 to 2 driveways, which will be replaced with grass cover or other types of landscaping along the right-of-way.
So for
Right.
staff, right. So for staff, it'll be, instead of, I count maybe 6 entries or driveways, it will be recommended like 4 or 3.
So that was with Brandon Belair, the traffic engineer. I think what Mr. Rowe is saying was
6
correct. I think
across.
they were gonna go down to 4,
5 to
5,
3.
yeah.
So it's going to be an
Here's-
elevated with parking underneath.
This-
Does that
this
mean
is
it'll
an
be
entry too,
open on
'cause
the
that's a
sides,
road.
or will it be walled?
All open.
2,
All
3,
open.
4, 5, 6, 7 across the front.
Yeah, this again is a preliminary,
Understand.
yeah,
Good.
rendering.
See, I didn't recognize that as a
Is a
road,
variance from 20
but
to
he
5
says this
foot
is a
on the
road that gets
setback.
into all of that.
They could come back and build a solid building right there at 5 feet. Is that correct?
So if that is a concern, the board can make that a part of the approval, that it remain
Yeah, you don't want that.
open air at the bottom. I'm sure legal can chime in. And,
It's not
Tell me
a
if I'm correct or
concern
not.
for me. I just wanted to clarify that.
yeah.
Any other questions of these guys? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if we grant the portion of asking to delete the island green space in the west parking lot, all the rest of the green space will meet or exceed the city's standards.
Yeah, the request for the removal of the landscaping and permanently landscaped peninsulas is specific to the north and northwest parking lot. It will not be considered as part of the south area.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else got a question for these gentlemen? Hearing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And before we stop and talk about this further, is there anybody else that wants to speak for or against? Yes, sir, come on. Come tell us who you are, where you live, and what your relationship is to the property, and then whatever else you want to say.
You got it. My name's Eric Meadows. I am a partner with Phelan Investments. I live at 106 West Colwood in Beaumont. I've been here for 29 years, and it's only the second time I've appeared before this esteemed committee. So it's a pleasure to be here, but I have to say I'm here begrudgingly, and I'm here with a little sadness because I own the building that you don't actually see right there, but it's in the blank white space at the bottom of the left-hand corner on your screen. That building, you can't really see it as well there, but it's to the south of the west parking lot, directly to the south. The other view is probably a little bit, that's actually a parking lot.
Right.
Yeah, or that actually is a covered parking, and that's the building right there where your arrow is. That's the building.
Gulf Coast.
So that building was built in 1968. Dr. Kabbalah et al. Were the original neuro group that purchased that from the original psychiatric hospital that was there. And when they purchased it, you can see that it's an out parcel to the property, meaning that there is no access from Fannin Street. The only access to that building is on the parking lot and through the parking lot, through the driveway and the parking lot. There are 21 dedicated spaces to the north of that building. The building is an 8,000 square foot office building, originally built as a medical office building. It's vacant right now. We do have negotiations going on with someone right now about leasing it. So why am I here? Well, I'm here because I am, first of all, I did not know anything about the design, which is perhaps a little surprising. I have a 20-plus year relationship with Baptist Hospital. The reason I own that building is because I was working with Baptist Hospital to acquire that from Christus. So I bought the building from Christus. And there was always a hope that Baptist would someday use it, and at least they would have it there at their option and they assumed that they would have, that they'd have a good relationship with me so that we'd work together on whatever the ultimate use of that building would be. So that never really took place as far as the use of that building for various reasons, and now we're all very excited about what they're building and what the proposed building is, the proposed use. Secondarily, I'll say that my family has been deeply involved with mental health issues for more than 40 years. We funded a multi-million-dollar mental health policy institute in Austin, and that policy institute was part of the organizing group that brought a group of people together, including members of the city, from the city. Chief Singletary was there. City manager was there, Mayor Ames was there. We all met on Baptist Hospital campus trying to talk about how we can better serve mental health in this community. No one is more supportive of mental health and the projects and the good works that Baptist Hospital is carrying on a daily basis, and no one will raise that flag higher than I do. Unfortunately, if you go to the other screen, now you know my building right there you're looking at. If you go back to the site plan drawing, that one, thank you. If you look at if you're at Fannin Street to the far left, adjacent to my building, you'll see that the solid black line that intersects, basically bisects the furthest to the left driveway. That is the property line. Kind of curious perhaps, but the property line goes directly in the middle of that access drive. Immediately to what would be east, so toward the parking, the structured parking that they're proposing, I have a 14-foot driveway easement. Immediately to the east of that, there's an additional 15-foot parking easement. These were all part of the original deal that Dr. Kabbalah et al. Did and have been running with the land since the beginning. I've got the deed here. It's fact. So I'm not really sure why this wasn't picked up or why it didn't come up. I don't really have any explanation for that. But my first knowledge of this design was 3 days ago when I received the variance notice. It's very surprising to me that was the first that I had heard about this design because of my relationship with Baptist. It's very good. And because of the fact that they know, everyone knows that we have that building that's in that place. And that building can only be accessed and needs to use the parking that is dedicated to it and reserved through the deed. So, as I said, begrudgingly, I am here with a contingent objection. And what I mean by that is that I very much believe that if I was to spend about 15 or 20 minutes with the guys, because I've just spent about 5 minutes talking to the CEO, Justin Doss, And if we were to have more time, I know that we could work this out. This could probably be designed into it. But right now, the way that it shows, they're building their structured parking on top of the easement. If I don't have a right to park that building, the entrance to that building is directly across from the structured parking. You can imagine the middle of that brownish building there. That's where our entrance is.
Okay.
So sorry to take so
No, no,
take so
no,
much
no, no,
time.
no, no.
I'll
I
stop.
appreciate-
I
No, no.
generally, my family will tell you, stop.
No, I appreciate that. Here, run back to the site plan, please. And I just want to make sure I understand this. And I'm gonna point up here, okay? So what I'm hearing from you, this is proposed fence, but I don't think that's proposed fence. I think that's just a park.
No, that's the property line. No, it's not just a line. That is the property line.
Right, okay.
The solid line is the property line.
14 plus 15 this way. That's what you're
Correct,
telling me?
correct. That's the easement.
And so what you're telling us is that they're gonna build this building on top of your easement.
Right. That easement goes from the front line, from the property line at the front, that goes back 180 feet.
Here's, the question that's being asked of us is, can they put the front of the building here? The question that's being asked of us does not include, can they build the building this way? So,
Right.
so.
So why am I here?
No, you're here with good reason.
So
What I'm telling you is that the decision that's been asked of us is not going to change this. You're still gonna be able to talk to them and work this out. All we're asked to do is say, can the building extend this far forward?
Well, I believe if you, no, you can go ahead.
Okay, so that's number one. Then number two, and then I'm gonna ask you for your answer.
Sure.
Number two is, you said there's parking
Behind, to the north,
It's
yes.
not in this.
No.
It's within this area.
Yes.
Right, okay.
Dedicated parking.
That,
Dedicated,
see it
but I will say, but the dedicated parking was never it never was designed that way. It never was intended to be sufficient parking for the building. So the building doesn't meet the city code requirement to park it for an 8,000 square foot building with just the dedicated parking.
understood. And it wouldn't unless you were able to put parking across.
Exactly why that deed exists.
I understand. Okay, just want to make sure we were clear.
So to your first question, why am I here? Well, because I think this is immaterial because it's a design question. And if in fact their design needs to change, then it may not change the fact that they want to, to reduce the setback, which I don't have a problem with the setback. So if you want to vote on the setback, great. But I will tell you that I'm objecting because the setback may be materially affected, or the design of the building may be materially affected to accommodate but to accommodate the property's easement. So do I think this is solvable? Yeah, I do. I think 100% it's solvable. I've spent, again, 5 minutes talking to. Unfortunately, we didn't get that 5 minutes or 15 or an hour or 2 days to work on it beforehand. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to you to say, this matters. My building's an out parcel. I don't have any other access. Now, if you want to reserve a driveway access for me, maybe some future use of that property or building might need a driveway. It's a different subject, but I will tell you that I have no other way to access that building. I don't have sufficient parking without enforcing the deed. This is a legal situation.
Understood.
So,
So, and recognizing all of that, accepting all of that is true. Don't need to look at the documents for our purposes. I don't. Some of these folks may want to. Okay, no need. Any questions of Mr. Meadows before we, all right. Why don't you pull up a chair for just a second? Let's ask these guys to come back up and talk to them for a minute.
thank you.
Would you come back and talk to us, please? You understand what I'm saying, that front of the building is what's being asked of us, and that's the only question that's asked of us. It's a yes or no question for us.
That's all we're asking for.
Side of the building,
We're not changing any of that. We haven't asked for any of that change.
I understand.
And this is conceptual. We
You
can
understand-
maintain his,
You understand what he's saying, that if you have to slide the side of your building, make your building narrower, it's gonna mess up interior, you may do something different with the front.
we're not to that point.
Okay. The question then is, and I'll give you the option, and then ask these guys if they'll support it, but I'll give you the option. Do you want us to recess and come back in a month and talk about this again after you've had a chance to talk to him? Do you want us to press forward and go to a vote on this, knowing his objections and problems? Do you want to take a recess right now and go talk to him? And I'll give you 15 minutes. If you can't solve it in 15 minutes or get to a point where you think you're going to be able to solve it in another conversation in a day or two, within that 15 minutes, then I think we would take option 1 or 2. Okay?
Sure.
What's your preference? Do you want to take a recess now?
Let's take a recess. We'll discuss it.
And just before we go off the record, it would actually be tabled to the next meeting, which is,
Right.
yeah, so I just want to make sure that all,
Thursday in June.
just want to make sure all parties
If
are
we table
aware.
it, it goes to the first Thursday in June. If we proceed, we vote. Why don't you come back in about 5 minutes after 4? And we'll mess around for a little while and wait for you. And we want to hear from you again, okay?
June 5th would be that date for all parties.
Yeah.
5th.
Do you want to do it now while he's present? Or do you care? All right, why don't y'all go ahead and let Mr. Rowe talk to us before we close ourselves and get off the record, so that we're still in an open meeting, because we have open meetings requirements. Yes, sir, go ahead. All right, go ahead.
So there is this easement that Mr. Meadows talked about. It goes through here.
Right.
That, if you look at this design, the access is not gonna, the driveway access is not gonna be
I understand.
hindering his entrance and exit, his access. That parking area that's there now existing is what it is. But like Ronnie has said, this can be adjusted, I've read the document, I know what the document says, and there was these spaces. But you have other additional parking that could be assigned. Agree to assign other spaces within the global parking area to do it. Now, does he have that in writing today? No. Can that be done? You're a lawyer.
That's part of their conversation. Let's give them till 7 minutes after 4. And let's hear, do they make some progress? And if they do, great. And if they don't, then we'll pick up there. We'll figure out what to do. I understand that. But before we force a vote, I want to give the applicant the option to say, I would prefer to have it tabled and go to the next meeting. But up to you. Okay, thank you. Let's go off the record for a little while. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
I will ask for when we do come to a motion, if we are very specific, which I know you always are, but.
Well, all right. Our technology's back up and running, and we're back on the record. And so decide between yourselves which is going to talk to us first, because we want to hear from both of you. That's fine, but just as long as y'all talk one at a time. Tell us what happened.
Oh, it was exciting. I'll tell you from my perspective, they were very considerate. You know, Justin spoke to me about his intentions and he gave me his word. What I understand is that's really good enough for me. I've never been opposed to the idea and the concept of the setback. That's not at all. But I don't want to have to get into a lawsuit either. You can imagine that seems like the last thing you'd want to do, to enforce the rights that I have through the deed, through the easement. Justin assured me that that was wouldn't be the situation, that we would be able to work together. I know Justin, I've known him since he got here, and I trust him. So I think we're good to go.
Okay.
My commitment to this, Justin Doss, CEO for Baptist Hospital, with Eric, was I said I'm clearly going to come on the record. We are well aware that there is a deed, there is an easement. We have always wanted to be good neighbors. We will never purposely violate anything like that. Eric has my commitment. I realize that he needs parking for his building. Our intention was never to disrupt, adversely impact his building whatsoever with this project. He has my commitment that we will be working together on this project to make sure that we come up with amicable solutions. I, too, don't feel like paying any lawyers to have to work through this.
No offense.
No offense. Yeah.
None taken. All right, thank you, gentlemen. Could I hear just one more, I got one more question for the architect and engineer, if you would come back up for just a moment. On item number 2, because when we do this as a motion and a second and a vote, we're going to be looking at this, what's written here, but we need to state it in a proper way. And it looks to me like instead of reduce the 6-foot landscaped edge on the northern property abutting Brenham and the 10-foot perimeter buffer between the commercial and residential zoning district of the north of the site, that what you really mean is eliminate the landscaped edge and eliminate the perimeter buffer and replace them with an opaque fence.
That's correct. This is what we'd like to do.
Okay.
If we have extra space, we will by all means make it beautiful, put landscape in there, but we haven't
Okay,
got to that point
But
yet.
the request is to eliminate the landscaping in favor of replacing with a buffer, with a fence or some
Exactly right.
opaque, okay.
Yes, sir.
And then the front setback south side from 20 feet to 5 feet to accommodate a proposed expansion that extends forward on the west, near the west property line. Is that more specific and within what you're requesting? Because otherwise, this is ambiguous the way it's written in the request here. And I don't know that we're being asked to reduce the front setback along Fannin Street from 20 feet to 5 feet across the entire southern boundary. Or is that what you actually are
It is what
requesting?
we would like to do.
You want 5 feet
Feet from the property line across the.
across the whole front.
Right.
All right. Just in case you want to build an entire building that runs all across there and buffers that whole front and somehow parks underneath it.
I think what you're saying, especially.
I understand.
They have to slide.
But sliding a little bit versus going across the entire front line along the entire Fannin property line is. I know, I know, I know. And I'm not criticizing, I'm just asking, if somebody makes a motion, how should the motion be made? Should the motion be made to reduce the front setback along Fannin Street from 20 feet to 5 feet across the entire southern boundary? Is that what you're asking?
You haven't, I don't know how you offset it and do it
Could it,
differently.
could it potentially be for the current proposed addition only?
Well, we want to make it flexible so that you can, so that you're not bound to this current proposal. We want to make it, I'm just asking you, how would you have this worded? Yeah. I know. I know, it'd be tough. I just want them to say that. Because that's not what's written on the paper.
Chairman, I would like to add that part of their request, if you look in your packets,
Yeah.
the letter did state that should, the variance be granted to reduce the 20-foot setback to 5 feet, additional landscaping would be provided along the right-of-way. So even if they did shift the building for the frontage,
Yeah, that would be included in the motion, but, so, because right now, it's to accommodate a proposed expansion.
Yeah.
And the real question is, do you really just want this for this one proposed expansion, or do you want it across the whole entire front
My
line?
understanding is each of the buildings are addressed separately, if I'm not mistaken.
It is, but it's one parcel of land.
One parcel, but.
One parcel of
But
land.
I think the variance, the intent of the variance is to be within front of the existing behavioral hospital,
All right.
which has an address.
My question to a surveyor would be, how do you document that and have a zigzag offset? I've never seen it. Maybe it can be done.
Wouldn't it be
but-
simpler if it was just the whole front?
Yeah, it would be.
And I appreciate that you were trying to be
Modest.
nice, but it'd make it simpler if it were 5 feet across the whole front line, and if we still required that you honor the intent of the landscaping ordinance by installing landscaping across that front property line. We're going to include that in if I do the motion, I'm going to include it. Whoever does the motion, I presume they will too. Okay?
That's what we're asked for.
All right, just want to make sure. Any other questions? Because I'm just asking for clarification.
That's good clarification. That's the way it's stated, it would just be. Could be.
Well, and again, it's not 5 feet off the pavement, it's 5 feet off the property line. That's good. Okay, thank you, Josh.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
I think you need.
Come on, Mr. Meadows, talk to us.
We didn't use our whole 15 minutes.
Now, we appreciate it, but we waited for you.
Yeah.
Dadgum.
No. Would it be, would everyone agree that we should say all the way across, subject to the easements?
Well, we don't have to say subject to the easements because the easements manage themselves.
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
got it. Okay. Got it, thank you.
All right. Okay. Any other questions for anybody else out here? Anybody else want to say anything else before we start working on figuring out how to word these motions? If you do, stand up now. Okay.
Can I ask our attorney, can we do this all in one motion, or do we need 3 motions, one for each request?
So it's one application,
So we can,
so you could do it all at once,
I would
but
appreciate it.
because of the severity of it, you could it almost cleaner for you to do it individual motions.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard if we do across the whole front, and if we do the elimination of the landscape
I didn't say
edging.
it was hard. I'm answering his question. So
Okay,
theoretically, because it is one application, you could. But if you are concerned about the clarity of the motion, you can do them individually.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Okay. No, I'll do it. All right. Anybody else want to discuss before we do this? All right. So I move that we grant file PZ 2025-119 in this way. That the front setback along Fannin Street be reduced from 20 feet to 5 feet across the east-west boundary, southern boundary, but to the extent all the way east and west to the limits of the property. Without minimizing or reducing the landscaping requirement that is required to be installed across the front of the property line, so that the applicant is required to honor the intent of the landscaping ordinance to screen the parking areas and enhance the property appearance on that southern boundary. And that the landscaping edges required on the northern property line abutting Brenham Street and between the commercial and residential zoning districts to the north of the site be eliminated, but continuing to require a 6-foot landscape, an opaque screen, presumably a fence, that shields the parking areas that are called the north parking lot and the west parking lot as a buffer. And third, that the landscaped peninsula requirements be eliminated in the areas that are designated in this plan as north parking lot and west parking lot.
On the first part of the motion, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt your thought.
Okay,
We may need to look at revising that language. You said not to eliminate the minimum landscaping requirement along Fannin. The setback itself would eliminate that requirement. With the 5-foot setback, typically there is a 6-foot landscaping requirement at the edge of a property abutting a right-of-way.
okay,
So to include landscape screening, but maybe not the minimized.
okay, all right. So, thank you. So revise that language then to require landscaping that honors the intent of the landscaping ordinance within the 5 feet of that setback, so that you're otherwise, the landscape width that's otherwise required can be reduced along with the setback. Better?
Yes, I would like to kind of read it back and make sure that you're in agreement with.
Yes, ma'am, please.
Yeah, okay.
Because I was not taking notes as I went.
I tried my best. Reduce the front setback along the southern boundary along Fannin to be reduced from 20 feet to 5 feet. Okay. Eliminate the landscaping edge requirement along the north parking lot.
Let's include in that setback before you go to the
Sorry, yes.
parking lot. Include the landscaping.
Including, okay, I'm gonna
Front
start over. I'm
setback.
gonna start over for clarity purposes in the notes. That way when we're watching this back, we can get
Yeah.
it correct.
Go ahead.
You're making a motion to approve file PZ 2025-119 to reduce the front setback on the southern border along Fannin Street from 20 feet to 5 feet. However, maintaining landscaping within that 5-foot setback to meet the intent of the landscaping ordinance.
Excellent, thank you.
To eliminate the landscaping edge requirement along the north side and perimeter separation requirement for the residential district on the west side. However, maintain a 6-foot opaque screen.
Let's don't say 6 foot. Let's just say an opaque screen.
Then you'll need to restate the motion.
You said
No,
6 foot.
I said 6 foot, but I backed off of that because the 6 foot was a 6 foot landscaped edge and I got
Well,
triggered on it.
currently there is a 6-foot fence, which is what they said they would maintain. So
Hence, multiple motions would have been simpler.
Right, but, you know, they may decide to do 8 foot. Just say an opaque screen.
you'll have to restate your motion.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's why I was taking notes.
To eliminate the 6 foot landscaped edge along the northern property line abutting Brenham and the 10-foot perimeter buffer between the commercial and residential zoning district to the north of the site. And to maintain an opaque screen shielding the parking areas that are called north parking lot and west parking lot
Okay.
from
that-
public view to maintain a buffer with nearby residential properties.
Perfect. I feel like we can all agree on that one.
Okay.
Lastly, eliminate the landscaped peninsula requirements within the north and northwest parking lot.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Second by Mr. Beaver. Would you call a roll call for a vote, please, ma'am?
Chairman Tamayo,
I'm for it.
Board Member Beaver,
For it.
Board Member Sorrell,
For it.
alternate Board Member Lucas,
I'm for it.
and alternate Board Member Jones.
I'm for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that word piece.
All right. And other business, and hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank
That was an awesome word, sir.
That was interesting.
Very. Good to see you. Take care. All right. Good to see you.